These are the 7 biggest mistakes that aspiring leaders make and current leaders make that stop them from stepping into their calling and fulfilling it. Make sure you watch until the end, because doing number 7 costs them everything. Keep in mind, you're a leader whether you realize it or not, because somebody is looking at you and therefore they are learning from you. Hello, everybody. My name is Coach Miriam, and I help women heal from the pain of their past so they can operate in their power and in their purpose. And my mission is to help women understand the divine DNA that is on the inside of them. Because when you really come to know who you are, you will become unlocked and unleashed. So I speak to women who are leaders that have felt limited, but God wants to do limitless things through you. You are actually chosen, but perhaps you're someone that has felt so much grief. Even though you know there's greatness on the inside of you, you see the circumstances that are happening around you. So you feel shaken and shook at work, at home, in relationships, in a marriage, finances, whatever the case. Let me tell you that no case is too great, and you are not too much for God to handle. And I love the quote that says there are 2 most important days of your life. And that is the day that you were born and the day that you find out why. And the people that I counsel and coach are many times dealing with trauma and pain from the past and what happened to them. And they're like, God, why did you allow me to be born into this family? Okay. But your family was just a gateway. So it's really time to heal from that trauma so that you can transform and really understand your purpose in spite of the pain. The pain was never meant to be the permanent narrative or perspective from which you look at yourself and people. And because of all the disappointments that we have experienced, many times we end up dimming our light because of negative beliefs that we have about ourselves or other people. Or maybe we go to the extreme of people pleasing. So we conform to the images that they want us to, the version of ourselves that they like. And that also is dimming your light. Well, it is time for you to turn your light back on, because you're actually called to be the salt and the light of the world. And light shines what? In darkness. So many times we're looking at the darkness and we are in despair, and we don't want to go to the other side because it's uncharted territory. So we have this comfort zone that we are used to staying in because we think it's safe. But actually you are losing yourself in that comfort zone by trying to please everybody. Let me tell you, in the history of mankind, nobody has ever been able to please everybody. So many times we're taking on the impossible task instead of focusing on the possible things that God wants to do through us. We're focusing on the probability of not being liked, of being criticized, and all these things happening, hurt, reoccurring. I get it. It is our human mechanism to want to stay safe. However, your growth is on the other side of discomfort. It is in that uncharted place. But there's a position that God has prepared for you. But as long as you lean into your understanding, you are keeping yourself away from growth, and you are here to grow, not here just to be in the state of grief because of what happened. God wants amazing things to happen through you, leader. You are an Esther. And I encourage you to even go and read that book of Esther, because she wasn't prepared. She wasn't perfect for the position of queen. But you are a queen in spite of being perfect because of the king that went before you already, right? It's not about conforming to the image of people or comparing yourself. Right? That's one thing that you may need to let go of. But it's about conforming to his image, because there is royalty in your DNA. Okay. Esther was a queen even before she was placed in the position, because that was the plan that God had for her. There are products that God wants you to do or create. There are businesses that he wants you to open up. There are ministries that he wants to place you in, and he sees you as that already. But will you see yourself as that? And the moment that you say yes, there is a ripple effect that is attached to that. The thing is, some of the circumstances, the people, the disappointments, really words. We're fighting sounds and words that we need to focus on one voice. And I'm going to tell you the story of Esther and really how she became the leader that she was called to be by focusing on one sound. Esther replaced Vashti. There is someone that God wants you to replace. And it's not because he's being mean. No, it's because of the miraculous things that he wants to do through you. And you may be the first. You may be the first in your family, the first millionaire, billionaire, the first one to go to college, the first one to get this degree, the first one to open this business. You may be the first. Okay. And that's okay. Because sometimes we're wanting people in our family to understand our dreams. However, when we talk about them, we don't get the applause that we're hoping for, or, we don't get the cheerleader response that we want. So many times we become a victim of the sounds that they don't create or they don't do, or the sounds that they say, right? But it was never meant for them to understand. But it's meant for you to focus on who God has called you to be. That being said, sometimes you don't even know the great things that he has planned for you. Esther did not know that she was going to be a queen in the future. By the way, she wasn't raised with her mom and dad, right? So even if you had mommy issues or daddy issues, it's not to belittle it with that term. I had daddy issues, y'all. I attracted the wrong partners as a result of the pain that I experienced with my father and the emotional neglect and things like that. Meanwhile, God will always place someone in our life that will help us see a different picture outside of our pain of who we can become. And so she had an uncle named Mordecai who spoke life into her, right? Like, I'm speaking life into you. So Esther replaced Vashti, and she was in the position. She was not perfect, just like you don't have to be perfect. And many times what will keep us from the position is condemnation, where we are looking at what happened to us, why we're not enough, why we're inadequate. Maybe he'll even use people that are closest to you to try and make you feel insecure. But no one can make you feel insecure, because such as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So it's important for you to take authority over your mind. And that's what I teach in my program, and those that I counsel, is to take responsibility and to focus on the truth. Because every time you invite truth and you allow someone to hold you accountable to it, you will be free, so that you can be all, not just some, not just 2%, but all that God has called you to be. Imagine you do things quite well, right? But that's just 2% of you. So imagine what 100% looks like 6 months from now or 8 months from now. And I invite you to invest in a voice that is going to get you in alignment with your victory and help you become who God has called you to be. I had to invest in my healing so that I could help today. I didn't know I could be a best-selling author. I didn't know I could open up businesses or even maintain my peace of mind, which is not contingent upon somebody else's posture towards me. Because sometimes we have these self-esteem issues, and because of how we see ourselves, we are limiting ourselves because of what people may do or because of what they might not even do. We're anticipating the worst case scenario, and that is literally the enemy against your growth if you're allowing it to control you. It's a fear issue. But how do we deal with fear? It's doing it anyway, but many times we need to be held accountable to the greatness that's on the inside of us. And that's what Mordecai was for Esther. He found out that Haman, who was in the castle, wanted to kill Esther and the people. He didn't know Esther was connected to the people that he didn't like. He just knew that he didn't like the people, so he created a plot. So Mordecai is like, okay, oh my goodness, I see the bigger picture. Esther, you were placed in your position for such a time as this. And when she found out that Mordecai wanted her to go to the king, she really had an internal conflict, because she's like, hold on, I've kept everything about myself quiet. And in some way, she's lived in shame or beneath her potential, because she felt like and believed that was going to preserve her. But by her only focusing on herself, it was going to be at the cost of others, because her freedom was connected to theirs. But many times when we're told to do something outside of our comfort zone, we will think about ourselves. But there are so many people, including maybe your children, nieces, nephews, people that you don't even know, that's actually connected to you using your voice and turning your light on and not dimming your light. Understanding that there may be a Haman right there in your proximity, who doesn't want you to know who you are, who wants you to conform to a false identity and only see your natural part of yourself. Meanwhile, Esther, it literally took Mordecai coming back, like, hold up, no, I can't, allow you to just only see this issue from your perspective of pain and limitations. I need you to understand that even if you said no, even if you only saved yourself, how do you know you actually won't die ultimately? The thing is, we're all here, we're born and we all die. But why take with you freedom? Why bury your gifts? Why bury your talents? Why take that to the grave with you? No. I love the quote from Miles Monroe where he says, rob the grave. He said, the richest place is the graveyard, because there lies books that were never written, videos, music that was never written, that was never sung, buildings that were never built because the architects, or the architect in you, the creator in you did not create, because we were emotionally crippled and stifled and stagnant and in the same cycle. But these issues didn't start with you. It didn't start with Esther. But she had to decide, wait, it can stop with me. Let me tell you, this is so good, that it can stop with you. It didn't start with you, but it can stop with you. So she had to become radical and remember, wait, it's not just about me, but there are people that are connected to me. It's not just about what happened to me, but what God wants to make happen through me. So she went on that 3-day fast. And she became, because she focused on one sound. She focused on one voice, on one person. So I implore you and I invite you to focus on that one voice that is going to hold you accountable to becoming all that God has called you to be. You are a lighthouse. You are the salt and the light. And God wants to make amazing things happen through you. So what do I do now, Coach Miriam? That is the perfect question, because it implies that you need to do something, right? Change requires change, and faith without works is dead. And sometimes we are jumping from this video to that video, and we hear this and we hear that and do nothing. But if I do nothing, I will remain where I am. But you're called to become and to develop. So I've created this free assessment tool that is going to help you become aware of the areas that you need work in, but also it's going to give you the solutions and strategies that's going to help you become. Also, visit my website. It's define-your-dna.com, because there's royalty in your DNA. And when you understand who you are through his picture, oh my goodness, you will just say yes to the position. You're going to say yes to the calling, because now you're getting to know the super side of your natural. All right. You're not just who your family said you are or what you saw them do. You're not what people said you are or the projections that maybe you've stepped in and have become a prisoner. You are so much more. You are actually his picture of you. He's not embarrassed by you. He wants to heal you of all hurts and bereavement. It is time for healing. It is time to become transformed so that you can be the leader that God has called you to be. It's time to step out. Take care.